Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world with me, Deepika, coming up in the next half an hour. 47th ASEAN Summit begins in Kuala Lumpur. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to participate in ASEAN-India Summit virtually. Vice President of India, CP Radhakrishnan, on a two-day visit to Seychelles to represent the country at the swearing-in ceremony of newly elected President Dr. Patrick Hermione. Trump imposes additional 10% tariffs on Canada over using late US President Ronald Reagan in advertisements to oppose tariffs. Trump gives Hamas 48 hours to return all deceased Gaza hostages. IDF conducts targeted strikes in central Gaza, says operations will continue to remove any immediate threat. And in ICC Women's Cricket ODI World Cup, India all set to take on Bangladesh in their last group stage encounter in Navi Mumbai today. A very good morning to all the viewers joining with the latest now. World leaders are gathering in Kuala Lumpur as Malaysia hosts the 47th ASEAN Summit. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will participate in the ASEAN-India Summit virtually. Well, ASEAN is central to India's Act East policy and plays a key role in global geopolitics given its strategic location and its economic potential. DD India's Shubhendu Ghosh brings us more. Take a look.
Kuala Lumpur becomes the epicenter of global diplomacy this weekend as Malaysia hosts the 47th ASEAN Summit. ASEAN stands for Association of Southeast Asian Nations, a regional intergovernmental organization of 10 member countries, including Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand and Vietnam. East Timor is set to become ASEAN Bloc's 11th member. ASEAN is central to India's Act East policy, serving as a cornerstone for economic, strategic and cultural engagement across the Indo-Pacific. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to join the ASEAN-India Summit virtually. Earlier this week, Prime Minister Modi spoke with Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim and extended greetings on Malaysia's assumption of ASEAN chairmanship. He conveyed best wishes for the successful conduct of ASEAN-related summits under Malaysia's leadership. PM Modi reaffirmed India's commitment to further strengthen ASEAN-India comprehensive strategic partnership. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will represent India at the 20th East Asia Summit in Kuala Lumpur. India and ASEAN will look to strengthen cooperation in maritime security, counter-terrorism and cybersecurity, expedite ASEAN-India trade in goods agreement to make it more effective and user-friendly, promote diverse, secure, transparent and resilient supply chains, cooperate in humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, peacekeeping measures, cooperate on emerging technologies including AI, blockchain, Internet of Things, robotics, quantum and 6G, boost people-to-people ties with 2025 designated as the ASEAN-India Year of Tourism. ASEAN sits at the crossroads of major shipping lanes and economic corridors between the Pacific and Indian Oceans, amplifying its geopolitical and economic importance. US President Donald Trump, Brazil President Inácio Lula da Silva, along with hosts of leaders from across the world are gathering in Kuala Lumpur to engage with the Southeast Asian bloc. ASEAN countries have a population of over 670 million, making it the third most populous region in the world and a combined GDP of $3.9 trillion. Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India.
As Malaysia is hosting the ASEAN Summit this year, DD India correspondent Akhilesh Suman spoke to the High Commissioner of Malaysia to India, Dato' Muzaffar Shah Mustafa. Take a listen.
This time, ASEAN Summit is taking place in Malaysia's capital, Kuala Lumpur. And here with me is the High Commissioner of Malaysia to India, Dato Muzaffar Shah. Excellency, your country is hosting ASEAN Summit at a unique time when the whole world is getting affected and challenged by Trump tariff. So do you think that ASEAN as a grouping will interact with Donald Trump and find a solution?
As you know, US is also one of the dialogue partners for ASEAN. So this year, as what we have done it previously, so I hope there will be opportunity to interact with all the leaders of ASEAN dialogue partners, including the US.
High-level delegation from India is also visiting ASEAN. How do you think that India-ASEAN are going to form a new trajectory when there are many challenges in the world at this moment?
There will be two meetings. One will be East Asia Summit and also ASEAN-India Summit. So there are a lot of opportunities for ASEAN and also India to interact during these meetings. And then of course for the ASEAN-India Summit, there will be review all of the ASEAN-India dialogue relations and also the future direction of ASEAN-India relations. So that's, I mean, you know, the opportunity for ASEAN and also India to chart the way forward, especially in discussing, you know, as what has been adopted during ASEAN ministerial meeting, right. ASEAN-India ministerial meeting, especially under the ASEAN-India Plan of Action 2026 to 2030.
And you know, India-Malaysia relations are also exemplary. And at a time when India is thinking to become a developed country by 2047, how do you think that Malaysia and India can cooperate in, you know, fulfilling India's plan and India's goal of achieving the developed nation's status?
India's vision of becoming a developed nation by 2047, our two economies are complementary, yeah. So there's a lot of areas that we can work together to address all the challenges, especially now for Malaysia. India is a very important regional player. So, I mean, no doubt that we need to support each other, especially during, you know, I mean, uncertainties of the global economies.
Business delegation is also visiting from India to Malaysia this time for the ASEAN Summit.
There will be also a sidelines program focusing on promoting business. I mean, India's delegation, business delegation, but there's also a business summit going to be held in conjunction with the Malaysia's hosting the ASEAN Summit this year. So I think always, you know, economic issues have always been now very important to many countries. So I think this is also the time that we try to look how we can strengthen our collaboration in the economic sphere.
Thank you so much, Excellency. So, as the High Commissioner of Malaysia tells that it is one of the important ASEAN summits that is going to take place when BRICS and, you know, G20 members are also visiting. This is the time when, you know, Global South and developed countries will also interact at this occasion. Akhilesh Suman for DD News and DD India with camera person Jagmohani, Delhi.
United States President Donald Trump, along with Cambodia and Thailand, are going to sign the Great Peace Deal between the Southeast Asian countries and Malaysia. Trump, writing on his Truth Social platform on Saturday, said proudly brokered peace deal between Cambodia and Thailand would be signed immediately upon arrival. Well, Trump helped broker a ceasefire between Thailand and Cambodia after tensions erupted in July, leading to the deadliest military clashes in decades that killed more than 40 people. However, on the 23rd of October, Thailand and Cambodia agreed to advance efforts to demarcate their shared boundary following a two-day special meeting of the Joint Commission held in Chatthanapuri in Thailand. US President Donald Trump announced on Saturday that he is increasing tariffs on Canadian goods by an additional 10% in response to a Canadian ad featuring late US President Ronald Reagan. Trump announced the higher tariffs in a Truth Social post on Saturday, referencing the ad that features a video of former President Ronald. Trump called the advert a fraud and lashed out at Canadian officials for not removing it ahead of the World Series Baseball Championship. Trump said, "Because of their serious misrepresentation of the facts and hostile act, I'm increasing the tariff on Canada by 10% over and above what they are paying right now." Trump posted the message while he was aboard Air Force One on his way to Malaysia, the first stop on a trip through East Asia that will largely focus on trade issues. The announcement came 2 days after Trump said he had terminated all trade talks with Canada over what he called as the fake ad campaign. US President Donald Trump on Saturday said Hamas needs to start returning the bodies of deceased hostages quickly to ensure that everlasting and strong peace is maintained in Gaza. Trump said that he will be observing the actions of Hamas for over the next 48 hours and see whether they return the bodies of the deceased hostages, which can be reached. Trump wrote in a Truth Social post that some of the bodies are hard to reach, but others can return now, and for some reason they are not. Perhaps it has to do with their disarming, but when I said both sides would be treated fairly, that only applies if they comply with their obligations, as stated by Donald Trump. Now, while all the living hostages have been returned from Gaza, the remains of 13 deceased hostages have not been handed over by Hamas. Meanwhile, Israeli forces said on Saturday it had carried out a targeted strike on an individual in central Gaza who was planning to attack Israeli troops. The IDF in a social media post said that it conducted a precise strike in the Nuseirat area in central Gaza, targeting a terrorist from the Islamic Jihad terrorist organization who planned to carry out an imminent attack against IDF troops. The IDF further stated that Israeli troops in the Southern Command are deployed in the area in accordance with the ceasefire agreement and will continue to operate to remove any immediate threat. Tensions between Russia and Ukraine does not seem to rest. Russia on Saturday claimed that its forces have continued to make advances in several directions, including Sumy and Kharkiv, over the past 24 hours, while Ukraine said the same day that its troops had repelled Russian attacks in multiple areas, including Pokrovsk. According to the daily report from Russian Ministry of Defense, its forces carried out strikes targeting Ukrainian defense industry facilities, energy infrastructure, and temporary deployment sites of Ukrainian troops and foreign mercenaries. Meanwhile, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, in its operational update, said its forces had targeted 5 areas where Russian personnel, weapons, and military equipments had been concentrated over the previous day. US President Donald Trump's administration has prepared additional sanctions it could use to target key areas of Russia's economy if President Vladimir Putin continues to delay ending Moscow's conflict in Ukraine. US officials have also told European counterparts that they support the European Union using frozen Russian assets to buy US weapons for Kyiv. Also, Trump has positioned himself as a global peacemaker, but has admitted that trying to end Russia's more than 3-year conflict in neighboring Ukraine has proven harder than he had anticipated.
I'm going to have to know that we're going to make a deal. I'm not going to be wasting my time. I've always had a great relationship with Vladimir Putin, but this has been very disappointing. I thought this would have gone long before peace in the Middle East.
France is under pressure to pass a spending bill by end of the year deadline to rein in its deficit and rising debt, but efforts have been hampered by a political crisis. Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu, who has promised not to use a parliamentary tool employed by previous governments to force through unpopular measures, is under pressure from both the left and the right. The right pushed through some of its measures on Saturday evening, including eliminating taxes on overtime. The left is still waiting to put its plan for a tax on the super-rich to the vote. Lecornu himself survived a confidence vote earlier this month by agreeing to suspend a deeply unpopular pensions reform under pressure from the socialists. Time to take a short break, but still to come on the other side. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to share his thoughts with the people of the country and abroad in Mann Ki Baat's 127th episode. India's foreign exchange reserves cross the $700 billion mark, rising to $702 billion. And after the break, we'll get you all the latest on the ongoing festival of Chhath. Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India Live. Well, in his first overseas visit since assuming the office, Vice President CP Radhakrishnan emplaned for Seychelles to attend the swearing-in ceremony of President-elect Dr. Patrick Hermione. Seychelles is an important partner under India's Mahasagar vision for bolstering relations across the Indian Ocean and in the country's commitment to the global south. During the visit, Vice President CP Radhakrishnan will convey India's felicitation to Hermione and reaffirm the close, long-standing and time-tested relationship between the two countries. The visit is expected to reaffirm the close, long-standing and time-tested ties between India and Seychelles, spanning cooperation in security, development and maritime affairs. DD India spoke to the High Commissioner of India to Seychelles to know more about Vice President's visit. Take a listen.
It is a matter of great honor for us to welcome the Honorable Vice President to Seychelles on the occasion of the swearing-in ceremony of the President-elect, Dr. Patrick Hermione. As you are aware, Seychelles had elections here a few weeks ago. This is also Vice President's first foreign visit. We look forward to strengthen our bilateral relationships with Seychelles, which is already a time-tested and multifaceted partnership. Through this visit, it will also be an occasion for Honorable Vice President to interact with the Indian diaspora here and also meet with the dignitaries on the Seychelles side, including a call on the President and a meeting with the new Vice President.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people of the country and abroad in Mann Ki Baat program today at 11 a.m. according to Indian Standard Time. Now, it will be the 127th episode of the monthly radio program. The program will be broadcast across the entire Akashvani and Doordarshan network, the AIR News website and the News on Air mobile application. It will also be live streamed on the YouTube channels of AIR News, DD News, PMO and the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting along with DD India. Akashvani will broadcast the program in regional languages immediately after the Hindi broadcast. In a major step towards preserving India's invaluable and centuries-old manuscript heritage, the central government has launched a significant initiative under Gyan Bharatam mission. A historic MOU was signed in New Delhi on Saturday in the presence of Union Culture Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat, who chaired the ceremony. The Ministry of Culture announced formal partnerships with around 17 leading academic and research institutions across the country. Representatives from institutions including the Asiatic Society, Kolkata, University of Kashmir, and the Government of Oriental Manuscript Library, Chennai, were among the signatories. Now, with these agreements, the institutions have officially joined the national effort for manuscript preservation. Addressing the event, Minister Shekhawat said Gyan Bharatam mission will not only protect the history but will also connect India's ancient knowledge systems with modern research.
ज्ञान भारतम मिशन जो है ये विरासत और भविष्य के बीच में सेतु का काम करेगा। भविष्य का भारत विकसित भारत होगा, तकनीकी के रूप से जो है समृद्ध भारत होगा, आर्थिक दृष्टि से संपन्न भारत होगा, सामरिक दृष्टि से सशक्त भारत होगा। लेकिन भारत अपनी गरिमा को प्राप्त करके प्रणम्य भारत जो बनेगा उसमें बहुत बड़ा योगदान हमारी सांस्कृतिक ताकत का होगा और उसको बहुत बड़ी भूमिका हमारे इस मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट मिशन की होगी।
Culture Secretary Vivek Agrawal stated that the ministry will provide both financial and technical support to the partner institutions to ensure the work is completed at the earliest.
हमने डिजिटाइजेशन की एक बड़ी एजेंसी को एंगेज किया है। आपकी संस्थाओं में हम पूरा जो इक्विपमेंट है वो अवेलेबल कराएंगे। आपको फंडिंग का अरेंजमेंट हमने किया है और साथ में ही जो आपका हैंड होल्डिंग है, जो विभिन्न एक्सपर्ट्स हैं उनका मार्गदर्शन है, कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग है, फिर आगे चल के रिसर्च होना है, ट्रांसलेशन होना है, पब्लिकेशन होना है, वो सारे कार्यक्रम हम साइमल्टेनियसली करने का प्रयास करेंगे।
Moving on now, let's get you all the latest from the world of business. India's foreign exchange reserves have once again crossed the $700 billion mark, rising to $702 billion in the week ended the 17th of October, according to the latest data released by the Reserve Bank of India. The country's total reserves grew by $4.4 billion during the reported week, mainly driven by a sharp increase in gold reserves, which jumped by $6.1 billion. Gold prices also saw a significant rise, climbing to $4,251 per ounce, up from $4,017 per ounce in the previous week. India's foreign exchange reserves had previously touched a record high of $705 billion in September 2024. On to sporting action now. India's women's cricket team is all set to face Bangladesh in their last group stage encounter of the ongoing ICC Women's ODI Cricket World Cup in Navi Mumbai on Sunday, which is today. Having already secured a spot in the semi-finals, Team India will aim to conclude the group stage on a positive note. The tournament has been a mix of highs and lows for India as the hosts began with the consecutive victories over Sri Lanka and Pakistan. However, later on, they faced 3 straight losses to South Africa, Australia and England. India made a strong comeback in their crucial match against New Zealand, winning by 53 runs through the DLS method. India will face the table toppers Australia in the semi-finals. Now, Chhath Puja, which is one of the most sacred and eco-spiritual 4-day-long festival, is being celebrated with immense devotion. The second day, known as Kharna, involves a rigorous day-long fasting without water. The devotees spend the entire day in devotion, meditation and preparations for the coming rituals. In the evening, after sunset, the fast is broken following the performance of the Kharna Puja. The prasad for this ritual typically includes rice pudding made with jaggery and milk with fruits. People give the prasad to the gods and then share it with their family, friends and neighbors. After eating this holy dish, the followers start a 36-hour fast without food or water that lasts until the last morning ritual. Kharna symbolizes inner purification, a step to cleanse the mind and soul before offering prayers to the sun god. And that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download it right now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Deepika, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.